I am DJ Edwards, and I am the owner of the Magic Shop in Park Hills, Missouri, home of world famous Ickle Pickle products. When did I start this business? Man, that's a great question. For me, it was February of 2020, but the company itself is almost 50 years old. In 2026, we will be 50 years old. And so the business predates me by quite a bit. I was born in 1981. The business was born late 60s. The exact year leaves me, but do the math. So here's what happened. I have been doing magic shows professionally. This is 2024 at the time of this recording, and this August is going to be 30 years. And so I've been doing magic for 30 years. And we may end up getting into how I got into magic, which is another story of itself. But I've been doing magic professionally for 30 years. And so I was doing that by the time I was 12. And one of the companies that I used to buy magic from was Ickle Pickle products. And it's interesting. Ickle Pickle is a worldwide, world famous magic trick manufacturing company. In the world of magic, there were between 5 to 10, I'll call them name companies, giants that had different specialties. And Ickle Pickle was one of those long time companies. And so when I started doing magic, I did not know anything about Ickle Pickle. Matter of fact, I didn't know about many magic shops. There was one magic shop in Springfield, Missouri. It was called Delbin Magic. The man that started it, he had a magic company. His name was Ben Stone. His wife's name was Dell. And so they made Delbin Magic. Well, we would go to Delbin Magic. The shop was actually called Mr. E's. But we would visit there in Springfield, Missouri a couple times a year. My parents and grandparents would take me, and we would buy, magic tricks. So I get home, and some of my favorite magic tricks, it says Ickle Pickle Products, St. Louis, Missouri. Of course, that's a lot closer to home than Springfield. I said, Mom, Dad, there's a magic company in St. Louis. So we looked it up in the yellow pages. We called and we said, hey, you guys have a magic shop there? And the gentleman that started the company, owned the company, Steve Bender, which is a huge name in the world of magic. He said, we don't have a shop. We don't have a retail shop like y'all are seeing here. He said, it's a manufacturing process. He said, it's run out of the whole lower level of my home. He said, but I do welcome people to come here and shop. And we said, sign us up. So they did it by appointment. And so we went and shopped throughout his basement, which was amazing. It's 1,800, 2,000 square foot of cubbies, endless rows of cubbies. You had to squeeze through like this because you just got a little bit of space, and you would hit your knees, when you crouched down to go through these cubbies. And so it was like Christmas time. You go through and he didn't care if you pulled stuff out on the floor. And so I started shopping there almost 30 years ago. So around 2012, I actually had a little magic shop of my own across town from here in the old Esther area, if people are familiar with the area. And when I needed somebody to stock my shop full, I called Ickle Pickle Products. And Steve at Ickle Pickle Products, not only could you buy the Ickle Pickle items, but he dealt with all of the major magic manufacturers. It was like one-stop shopping. So I could call Steve and I could say, hey, I need some of these and some of these and some of these. And I would get it all in one box. And so that made it really, really easy. Well, Steve and I have had a great relationship through the years. I've got to know him for well over half of my life now, since I was a kid. And so he was very instrumental in some of the magic that I performed and making suggestions. And he had a lot of great, anytime I wanted advice or critique, he was willing to give that. So 2012, I've got this magic shop. And Steve Bender says to me, I call it the Willy Wonka moment, because I'm standing in his home, in his basement there, the manufacturing process, and he is at his desk. He's got a big, beautiful oak roll-top desk, and he's sitting there with his back to me. And I think about that scene in Willy Wonka. He's standing there, and Charlie Bucket and his grandpa, are standing behind Willy Wonka. And, he's talking about, they stole the everlasting gobstopper or whatever, but Charlie gave his back. And so Willy Wonka, he spins around and he said, Charlie, I knew you would do it. He's like, and that's why I want you to take over the company. Well, I'm standing at Ickle Pickle, and Steve's sitting at his desk, and he spins around And he said, DJ, he said, I want you to buy Ickle Pickle products. And my first response was, there's no way I can do that. He said, I don't have any money. And he said, well, he said, here's the thing. He said, I'm getting older. He said, I'm getting closer to the time that I want to retire. And he said, I've thought about different people. He said, and I know some great magicians. He said, but they might not be strong in business. He said, and I know some great businessmen. He said, but they don't know the world of magic. He said, but I've watched you. He said, you're a great magician. He said, but you have a sharp mind for business. He said, he said, you're the right guy for the job. So again, this is 2012, and I said, wow. I said, I just don't have the means to make that happen. And we began to talk. And I said, Steve, I said, if I ever did buy Ickle Pickle, I said, the first thing I would do is get a website. I said, you don't have a website. And I said, I would hit the internet really hard. And he said, well, I have no interest in dealing with the internet. And Steve, he's older. I think now, I would hate to say it wrong. I'll say 85, I think, right about. I might have that off by a couple of years either way. But anyway, he said, I don't want to do anything with the internet. He said, but I've got an idea. He said, why wait? He said, you go ahead and start, icklepicklemagic.com, whatever. And he said, you can use the name. He said, we'll do the same way we do with your physical store. He said, Ickle Pickle stocks your store. He said, put all of the Ickle Pickle items online. And he said, whenever an order comes in, he said, you'll get the retail, I'll get the wholesale, just like we do now. He said, this could be an experiment.
Now, is that when Ickle Pickle became worldwide?
Ickle Pickle has always been worldwide.
Okay.
Yeah, Ickle Pickle creates magic for magicians all over the world. And so for years and years and years, if you would go to a magic shop in Tokyo, in Hong Kong, in Paris, in London, in Vegas, in Branson, you're going to find the Ickle Pickle brand. You're going to find it there. And actually, the shelves behind you, John, right now displaying, people can come here in the shop. This is just a little sample of everything the Ickle Pickle makes. At our peak, which would have been like the mid-90s, Ickle Pickle was manufacturing over 1,500 different items that had to be fully stocked all the time. And right now, it's not that many. We do about 400, probably about 400 items. And we just kind of pay attention to what's selling. And it is ever changing because we tweak the old items, we create new items. So that's part of Ickle Pickle's heritage. And so it has always been worldwide for decades. And so Steve says, start the website. And I say, hey, great idea, So my investment at that point was not money. My investment was time. Thousands of hours of, demoing the items for video, doing the product photos, and the data entry, doing all of this. So 2013, I launched icklepicklemagic.com. And it did okay. And every year it would grow a little bit. And every year Steve would say, hey, you want to buy Ickle Pickle? And I'd say, man, I don't have enough money yet. Got this and that going on. I pastor a local church. I perform full-time, perform magic shows still. And it was more than I could take on and needed more capital than what I had.
Yeah.
So every year, Steve would sweeten the deal. He would say, hey, what if this is the price? What if we do this? What if we work it this way? So 2019, this is several years of conversation and prayer. And Steve says, hey, what if? And he pitches me the deal of a lifetime. Now, it was a lot of money. But I knew the value of what was sitting in his basement. And so even though it was a stretch for me financially, I also understood that I couldn't afford to pass it up.
Yeah.
In February of 2020, Steve Bender officially retired, and I took the reins. And we moved Ickle Pickle from St. Louis to my hometown of Flat River, Park Hills.
Okay.
So we move it here. And it took two of the largest U-Haul trucks that they had. It was 30 or 35 foot, packed, ceiling to floor, nose to tail end, side to side, packed. It took two U-Haul trucks packed, a flatbed trailer, an SUV, maybe a couple
Oh,
times.
wow.
It was a lot of stuff, a whole lot of stuff. So we moved it here. So we take over in February of 2020. 4 weeks later,
We all know what happened.
we all know
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened. Global pandemic. So magic sales for magic companies like me and, guys that, have a couple specialty tricks they make, magic sales plummeted like 90% worldwide. And I've just taken over this thing. And so, our area, let me try to say this diplomatically. I'm not trying to throw shade or be judgmental of anybody. Our little small town area, we didn't play the COVID game too well. We tried to be as responsible as we could with the information we had, but we were also not gung ho to like shut down life, like some big cities did. And so, for a few weeks and a couple months, we tried to respect what we were ignorant of and say, yeah, let's be careful. But, a short time in, we said, hey, might be a few things not adding up. We still have to live. And I said, if Ickle Pickle's going to survive, and if I'm going to survive financially, having just acquired this, we're going to have to do something because magicians worldwide, they're not performing shows.
Yeah.
No live entertainment. And if they're not performing, they're not ordering magic. So how do I get revenue? What do we do? And I said, well, if I will open a physical store, maybe some local people, local young people, maybe they'll come in to see the magic shop, and I can sell them some easy to do magic tricks, card tricks, and, the coloring book trick many people have seen and these kind of things. And it worked.
Yeah.
Now, John, I was not in this building at that time. I was about a mile that way. Right now we're sitting in the middle of Main Street. We are right now across the street from the old Flat River movie theater to give people reference of where we're sitting. But that's not where we started in 2020. In 2020, we were outside of the downtown area. We were at 204 East Main, and I was in kind of a warehouse building that my dad owned. They used to have a fabric business, and they had retired from the fabric business, and so I was renting that building from my dad. And at that time, Chris Holsey, who the Holseys own this building, and they own a lot of the properties here downtown.
Yeah.
He had seen one of my videos, a Facebook video about my magic shop. And he said, hey, I didn't know you had a magic shop. I said, come see it. Well, he walked in and he looked around at all room after room, thousands and thousands. He said, whoa, what is this? I said, this is Ickle Pickle products. He said, Ickle Pickle what? And I explained to him everything I just explained to you and the viewers. And he said, I had no idea that it was this. He said, I thought it was a little touristy kind of, like a magic shop you stop into on vacation. I said, no, this is a big thing. And he said, hey, why don't you move downtown?
Yeah.
He said, we've got all this happening downtown. He said, you all have your church. The church that I pastor is in the old movie theater. He said, you're already downtown with that. He said, we've got the coffee shop, and he said, we got these boutiques. He said, we're putting in the scoops and, the little breweries up here, and you can get a pizza there and stuff like that, which now it's changed hands. I forget, it was called
Four Towns.
Yeah, now it's Four Towns. It was Slaughterhouse, and now it's Four Towns, And so he said, we got all this going on. He said, you would be perfect.
Yeah.
He said, we want unique shopping opportunities. And I said, well, here's the deal. And I shared with him, what the effects of the pandemic, we're trying to pay off a loan, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I wish we could make it happen. Well, just facetiously, sarcastically, I said, I tell you what, I'll pick out a building, you buy it. I said, you have to put in the flooring that I want, the walls that I want. I need built-in shelving. I mean, I was over the top. I said, I need old-time Edison lighting. I said, and then I need this kind of price and this and that. And he said, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, are you serious? He
And
said,
here we are.
let's look at buildings.
Uh-huh.
So honestly, the Holseys are a big part of why I exist. You know, why this has gone this way. And so, thank you, Holseys, for making it happen. So they did. They pulled it off, and they really, really worked with me. And anybody that's been in here, this is what everybody say when they walk in. They say, "We can't believe the atmosphere. Like this feels like magic." They say, "This feels like Harry Potter," or they say, "This feels like the old Nickelodeon Are You Afraid of the Dark show."
Yeah.
They say there was an episode with a magic shop. You know, this feels like that old time magic shop.
Yeah.
You know, this feels like 100 years back in time.
Yeah.
And it does. It feels like all those things, you know, hardwood floors and the old time lighting we've got throughout. And so when people come here, they have to understand, even if a person doesn't have an interest in being a magician, this is not just a store. This is an attraction.
Yeah.
You know, this is an event attraction. Some people go to Critter Lane, and, you know, we're dear friends with the people at Critter Lane. Some people go to, you know, laser tag, and they go to the bowling alley. If you're bored and you don't have something to do, come here. Even if you don't buy anything, bring your kids here. This is cool. You can come in here and spend an hour, spend a couple of hours. I'll show you some magic. You get a prank rack right behind you. There are pranks to play on your friends. And then you can go up here and grab a pizza. You can grab scoops. You can get a coffee at Ray Cole's. You can go to Subway. You can go to Factory Diner. You can go to Old Mine House.
Yeah.
You can spend an afternoon in downtown Park Hills.
So DJ, I appreciate you letting me come in and sit down with you. I know with you being open today, you've already had a few customers come in today. And I do want to also say one thing I think it's so neat is, which it is a nice day today. It's, you know, Saturday afternoon. Everybody came in here with a ice cream from Scoops.
Yes.
And it's kind of, there's kids roaming around here and they're loving everything. So what you do here, I think is so neat for the community. Like I said, you've had a bunch of kids come in just specifically for the bunny.
Yeah, they want to see David Hopperfield.
Yeah, I think that's so
locally
cool.
world famous magic rabbit.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. So is there anything you want to kind of say in closing?
You know, this place is so much, for the local, this is so much beyond a store to buy something in. It is so special for people to come in. And you know, 20 years ago, there were about 1,500 magic shops in the U.S. and Canada. Now there's less than 300. And the internet is partly to blame for that. But the other thing is, when you have a magic shop, you have to perform magic. When people come in, they don't know what any of this stuff does. I love people, and I love performing. I love people. I love kids. I think all of us really are kids. And whenever somebody opens that door, you've witnessed this today, and this is how it works. Somebody opens the door. Welcome to the magic shop. You are just in time for some magic. Yep. We want people to know they are welcome, that they are wanted, and we want to bring them wonder. If they're having a bad day, we want to give them a good day. And so when they come in, now there's a lot of times I'm not here because I perform full-time on the road. You know, I'm gone. But when I'm here, when you come in, you're going to see magic. So I hope everybody will come visit us. Yeah. And if somebody has an interest in magic, I hope they will visit icklepicklemagik.com, and they can see everything. We're on Facebook. You know, you can go to the Magic Shop Park Hills on Facebook, Ickle Pickle Magic on Facebook. There's a lot of ways to connect and see everything we've got going on. And come in, check it out, and have a blast. So,
awesome.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Thanks for doing this.
Man, I appreciate you. And like I said, it's awesome to be able to experience this, and just it's something so unique that I love to hear the backstory to it. So,
yeah,
DJ.